All right. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. And thank you so much for being here. And welcome to another episode of Deportation Defense Live. Thank you for everyone who's joining me right now on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube. Thank you for being here. My name is Otis Landerholm, and welcome to another episode of Deportation Defense Live. Today we're talking about the new Family Reunification Program, what it is, who it benefits, how does it work, things like that. And so I want to share that news and explain that program a little bit. So welcome everyone, and thank you so much for being here. Remember, Deportation Defense Live is here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants who are facing deportation to make the most out of immigration law, to make the most out of their lives, and to win their cases. All right? So are you facing removal in immigration court, or do you know someone who's facing removal in immigration court? Because if so, you know that it is not easy. It is an uphill battle. The laws are against us, and we are here to maximize your chances of winning that case. So today our theme is, what is this new Family Reunification Program? How does it work? Who does it benefit? What's the process? We'll talk about that. And we'll be short and sweet today. It's a pretty quick episode today, I believe. And so if I'm talking and if you have any questions about your case or about what's going on, then please submit your questions. We're live. I'd love to answer any question you have. Okay? So, and as always, we'll do this in English, and then we'll stop, and then we'll start again in Spanish. So if you want to speak it, or if you want to join us in Spanish, we'll do that right at about 10:30 this morning. All right. As always, I'd like to start with a little empowerment tip. I like to do that. And so what I want to do is I want to talk about equality and inequality for just a minute. Okay? Equality. Like, consider that U.S. immigration laws create inequality. All right? They create a divide. Okay? It gives some people who have done certain legal processes or who have qualified for certain legal processes, right? It gives some people more equal rights to work, live, and contribute. It gives some people more or less the same rights to work, live, and contribute as U.S. citizens get, with basically only the threat of deportability if a person messes up. All right, and those are for green card holders. But at the same time, it doesn't give other people those same rights. So there are 11 million people who are in the U.S. that are essentially in the shadows because they are not given, they do not have those equal rights. It is inequality, everybody. It's injustice. Okay? So the question for you is, how do you deal with inequality? How do you deal with injustice? Right? And how do you do it? Do you complain about it? All right? Do you feel it? Do you acknowledge it? Do you ignore it completely? Avoid even thinking about it? Right? Or do you look at it and create a plan, create a strategy for how to help yourself and help others through it? Because what I want to say is, what immigration services, what immigration law firms are all about is it's about looking at that and helping people move from one to the other, helping people navigate through so that they can get more rights. Yeah, so that they can be treated equal. And it is very frustrating to feel the inequality that exists in our society. And immigration law is just one of those, right? There's lots of different forms of inequality around us every day. But what I believe is that the way to address it is to create a plan or a strategy or to take some kind of action in your own life, whatever that might be, to help people through that inequality. All right? Sometimes that comes in the form of unequal opportunities for education. Teaching somebody some skill, I mean, that can be so powerful. It's empowering. Okay? Anyway, I wanted to share that. Hope that's useful. Hope that's helpful. If you want to take on something like that in your life, share it. Share it with our listeners. Share it in the bottom of the video notes, or with me here on Instagram, or on any of the apps that you're speaking on. I'd love to hear about it. Right? Those types of things inspire me and others, and so that's awesome. All right, so I'm going to move on to my to our legal topic today. And our legal topic is this announcement, right? You probably saw it oops. I've got some kind of spam phone call coming in. That happens sometimes. Anyway, my topic today is about this announcement that came out on the 7th of July. All right, so now about 10 days ago or so, 11 days ago to be precise, where the Department of Homeland Security announced a new program. All right, it's a new family reunification parole process, and and it is specifically for family members of U.S. citizens, where those family members are nationals of Colombia, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras. And so what I want to do today is I want to explain what that is, all right? And we'll start with who. We'll start with who this can benefit. Basically, it's got to be a national of Colombia, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras, but those people have to be the beneficiary of an approved I-130 family-based petition, all right? Not a pending I-130 family-based petition. You could file the application right now, and it'll be pending for 1 to 3 or 4 years, depending on the category. But after it's approved, then they might be eligible for this type of parole. Okay? If they're from one of those countries and they have an approved I-130 already, then this process they might be eligible for this brand new process. And the way this process works is the Department of State is going to start by issuing an invitation to the petitioner. All right? So let's think about that, right? Who's the petitioner? The petitioner is the U.S. citizen or the U.S. green card holder in some instances that filed the petition for the family member who's overseas in those countries. All right? So the Department of State will start by reaching out to the person who's here in the U.S. and invite that person to sponsor the immigrant who is in Colombia, El Salvador, Guatemala, or Honduras. And then once they have that invitation, right, then they can start a process. And that invitation will have instructions on how to start the process. But basically, the process is, what do they need to do, is they can file a Form I-134A, which is the sponsorship request, all right? And they can file it on the internet. And it will require to show that a parole for their family members is required for either urgent humanitarian reasons or some significant public benefit. And they have to show that the beneficiary, quote unquote, warrants a favorable exercise of discretion. These are like the legal things that must be shown. Okay? So, urgent humanitarian reasons or a significant public benefit, one of those two things. Plus, you've got to show that you warrant a favorable exercise of discretion, typically that there's no arrests, no unlawful entries into the U.S., no problems. Okay? And if you can show all that, and if you can get it approved, then now your family member can be paroled into the United States and be given work authorization for up to 3 years at a time while they wait for their visa to become available. Got it? That's this new process. That's it. That's the way it works. All right? And so, there's several thousands of people that have applied for visas, that have petitioned for their family members to come to the U.S., and they're just in these wait logs. They're in these backlogs, waiting and waiting and waiting, sometimes years and years and years, before they can get actually get their visa approved. Okay? And so this is a way to allow people to, they've got to wait for the law to become, for their visa to become available under the law, but this will allow people to wait in the U.S. with a work permit as opposed to waiting in their home country all of those years. And so that's what this is about. Okay? So I just wanted to clarify that and explain that. That's really all I wanted to say for today. And so that's really all I got, folks. And so if you have a question, please feel free to submit it. I'd love to answer it. And if not, we will wrap up. I do have one question here from Nayeli Ruiz. Thank you for asking your question. You say, what happens if I claim to be a citizen when I was only a resident on my I-9 form? I have 3 kids that are citizens, and my boyfriend is a citizen as well. Please help. Can this be fixed? Okay, I got it. This is a complex issue, all right, because a quote-unquote false claim to U.S. citizenship can destroy an immigration case. It can actually make a person become deportable. Nayeli, the thing to do is to do a retraction of your claim, all right? And you need to say, hey, look, this was a mistake. I should have checked this box. Here's my green card. Here's my residency, all right? And yes, we can help you go through that process, but we would want you to, fully understand. We would need to fully understand when it happened, and, we can help write a letter on your behalf to your HR department, things of that nature, so that you can, quote unquote, retract your the mistake that you made on your form I-9. That is the proper way to do that, as long as it's not, so long ago, and as long as it wasn't intentional. Okay. As long as you weren't trying to fraud the company, right? That's where, that's where it can really become a problem. But anyway, if it was an honest mistake, then it should not be held against you, but you will want to correct that error, okay? And you'll want to do it as quickly as possible, certainly before filing anything with immigration. So I hope that's helpful. Nayeli, if you have questions about that, please feel free to reach out to my firm. We'd love to help you through that, navigate that process, all right? So, and thank you, Nayeli, for asking that question. The next question I see here comes from Janet, all right, Chavez. So your question's in Spanish. I'm going to be doing this episode in Spanish in just a minute, so I'm going to translate it into English for right now, okay? So you say, hello, lawyer, I have a consular appointment in Mexico, all right, under category IR5, but I'm in the United States waiting for an I-485 with my fingerprints here. What should I do with the appointment? Thank you. So, Jeanette, thank you for asking that question. Don't panic. Don't panic. Something was not done right, but it can be fixed, all right? If you have an I-485 here in the U.S., it's so much better to do this through an I-485 through USCIS than doing it through the U.S. consulate. And so, but it sounds like the different departments aren't in communication and don't the Department of State, who's helping you coordinate an appointment in Mexico, isn't aware that you have an I-485 pending. And so the best advice is to talk with an immigration lawyer and have them help you navigate the what happened there, right? Maybe the I-130 was filled out checking a box that you were going to process it through the consulate, And then after it was approved, maybe a lawyer or somebody then filed the case to USCIS. So you actually have two cases going at the same time. And so you'll want to just clarify and fix that issue. Hopefully, it shouldn't be a big deal as long as you're 100% eligible for your I-485. But that's really what you want to start with. Make sure you're 100% eligible for your I-485 adjustment of status. And if so, then I would say follow through with that process 100%. But if there's any reason to say, hey, that I-485 might not be approved, then it would make sense to maintain the consular case and ask them to push that consular appointment out as far in the future so that that could be your backup plan. Okay? So anyway, Janet, I hope that's helpful, and don't panic, but have a strategy for how you want to handle both of those cases. Okay? So very good. Any other questions out there? I don't see any. Joel Cinto, hello here on Instagram, and Luis Sanchez, hello here on Instagram. And everybody who's joining us right now on TikTok, hello everybody on TikTok. And everybody on YouTube, thank you for being here on YouTube and LinkedIn. Thank you all. Thank you all so much. All right, I appreciate it. And so I think that's it for today. I'll do this episode again in just a moment in Spanish. We'll start at 10:30. In the meantime, if this was useful, if this was helpful, hey, please check out and please subscribe to our channel in YouTube. All right? And when you do that, please click the notifications bell. We can get you additional updates and news. You'll be notified whenever we update those updates and news. And if you have an immigration case, hey, please give us a call. We are here to help, and we would love to help. Okay? All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.